Welcome to Simply Caroline, a podcast dedicated to women empowerment where we will discuss a bunch of different subjects such as life, parenting, love, business, money, relationships, healing, recovery, addiction, entrepreneurship, and so much more. A podcast I'll do my best to keep simple, fun, and relatable and bring you tools to help you better your life. So thank you for being here. And here's your host, myself, Caroline Blanchard. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Thank you for being with us again this week. I have a very special guest, special to my heart as well, because she is the daughter of one of my best friends, Alyssa Benchimol. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So I invited Alyssa on my podcast because I think that the world has to get to know her. She is an amazing artist, and I love her creations. Not only because she made them, but also because there's such a purpose and a story behind like her creations. Alyssa, when did you start painting?
I feel like I've been painting since I was super young, not necessarily just painting, but like drawing and things like that. I've always been into just all things art. I used to be more into music actually, when I was young and when I was growing up. It was always my passion. I always wanted to be a singer. Um, and then at some point,
And
my
you
passion.
are a great singer.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
I still do it for fun all the time. I love to just sing whenever I'm doing anything, but I think my passion just sort of drifted over to making art more. And so now I definitely just put more attention towards it. But yeah,
And
it's always been an interest of mine.
that's yeah, you are a very creative person.
Yeah,
And
for
I'm
sure.
so jealous that you're like, yeah, I'm not singing these days. Because if I would have a voice that I could sing, I would always sing.
Yeah.
You have the option and you play instruments and all of that. So you are a very gifted, you know, artist because in general, you can create whatever you want. You did write some music too, no?
Yeah, that was sort of like the first kind of writing that I did. I also love to write like poetry and songs, but when I was younger, I would always write songs firstly. It's kind of like my way of getting out my emotions. It was my outlet. I don't really write songs as much anymore. I feel like art is more of my like creative outlet. But yeah, writing is fun. I like to write.
Yeah, so I can totally understand writing and letting out your emotions because, and I think that most people will understand that part, but how do you let your emotions out while painting?
Yeah, I feel like it really depends on the piece. Sometimes I'll just sort of do a background, whoever it is that I feel, I'll just like go in with my hands and just start and like see what it is that happens. And then a sort of idea emerges from there and I build off of it. Um, Other times I just come up with a kind of concept that sort of describes how it is that I'm feeling or just sort of feels like a way to release certain emotions. So it's always different. Like each painting, the creative process is super different where I start and how I continue. Sometimes I'll put like certain challenges for myself, being like try to not use a paintbrush for the majority of this piece. And it's just a way to sort of like dig deeper into my creativity. Um,
That's awesome.
yeah, I feel like that's what's fun is that every piece is a different sort of world and I can build it up in different ways. So I have a
Yeah.
hard time kind of sticking to one style because I'm just kind of all over the place in my mind. So I feel like my art shows that all the different emotions and different sides of my brain.
And thank you for sharing that because I think that, I'm not an expert in art at all, but in business, that's quite often people will be like, well, in which lane are you? And it feels like we always have to be in one lane. We always have to be
Yeah,
choose a style. And again, you just said it with your painting. I'm not sure 100% yet what's my style. And I guess
totally.
in music too, it's the same thing. You have to have a style. I think that we're moving away from that a bit. And it seems like in the last years, and we're accepting more that people don't have one style. It's okay to want to be 32 different styles. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I love that you say that because like no matter what form of art it is, whether it was music or painting or whatever, I've always been it's been hard for me to pick just like one category of style to do, whether it's like a genre of singing to do or a genre of art. I feel like I always feel pulled to do different things, so it feels like a disservice to myself to force me to just do one type of thing when I have a bunch of stuff that I want to do. And I'm like that in all realms of like hobbies too. I feel like I dabble in a million different things. And I wouldn't want to just stick to one thing. I feel like it's boring like that.
Well, and congratulations for assuming yourself so young and being like, no, this is who I am, and that's how I'm rolling, and that's what I admire about your generation. You guys like seems to be a bit more. You guys know where you're going more than we did back
Yeah,
in
oh
my.
my gosh, I have no idea where I'm going, to be honest. I'm just kind of trying to roll with the punches, see where fate takes me.
Well, you're rolling really well. So besides we'll come back to your painting in a minute, but besides your painting, what else do you do?
Yoga is a really big part of my life. I've been doing yoga, not for that long actually, just for a few years now since COVID, the pandemic. The pandemic was super hard for me at first. I was having a really hard time finding ways to ground myself, and yoga was one of those ways that I was able to like recenter myself and just find myself again. And I feel like I've grown so much since then, and it's become like such an important part of my life. I try to practice every day, and it really just helps me find my own again. And I love it so much. I feel like it helps me grow so much as a person. I also really love to pole dance. People think that it has to be this like sexy thing, and it can be, but it's also just like a really empowering form of fitness. It helps you build strength, and I love the creativity and the dance, the flowiness of it, and I feel like it pairs really well with yoga as well.
Yeah.
And now with art, I feel like those are my main sort of things that I like to dabble into. But
But
yeah,
dancing is art as well.
yeah, exactly. I'm a very artsy person, I think.
Yeah, no, and I've seen your videos, and we'll give you your website, not our website, our YouTube channel, and you can go see that. But it's very gracious. And yes, I think that at first it was like pole dancing. What's, is that only
Yeah,
for, you automatically just think about strippers, but no, pole dancing is actually like an art
it
and
is.
extremely difficult. And,
Yeah.
congrats for doing that too. And what brought you to pole dancing?
It was one of those things that I had always wanted to do. Whenever I'd see videos of it, I thought it just looked so ethereal and impressive. And so just randomly when I was in CEGEP a few years ago, I saw that there was a dance studio nearby-ish to my school. And so I like took a friend with me. I was like, let's do this together. And we did the first class. I was so awful. We were both really bad. And she only came with me the one time, but I thought it was so much fun. So I stuck with it. And even through the pandemic, I did at home classes. So I have a pole in my apartment, which makes it way more accessible and easy to do all the time. Um, yeah, just super fun. I love that the progress is very rapid. Like if you put in the work, you'll see the progress and you get better, you get stronger. It's really nice to like feel yourself getting stronger, you know?
Yes, and I guess that's a bit where I was going because I know that you were also getting out of, something very
Mhm.
extremely difficult, and you wanted to gain strength by doing that pole dancing, but also not just for this body strength, for your self-confidence, for your person and everything. Do you want to talk about that a little?
Yeah, I can. So back in, I want to say 2018, I struggled with a pretty bad eating disorder. Um, it started sort of randomly. I feel like I've always sort of struggled with unhealthy thought patterns when it came to food. But I was going through a really bad depression period, and my eating disorder was something that I was able to put all of my energy into. I didn't really have to think about anything else that was bothering me. I would just sort of put it all into starving myself. It was like goals, and um, it's as unhealthy as it was sort of like an internal game in my head, like missions that I was supposed to accomplish, and that was how I determined my own worth. And it was very intense when it happened. It like the rough of it only was going on for about a year, but I deteriorated super rapidly. My body deteriorated, my brain deteriorated, and it was sort of the only thing that I was able to focus on. So I sort of lost all aspects of myself, like my creativity and just everything that sort of made me me. And as I was starting to get out of it, I was really just trying to find something to replace the feeling that my anorexia gave me. And pole dancing was one of those things. You need energy, you need strength to be able to do that. You have to eat, or else you're gonna faint. You're not gonna be able to lift yourself up, climb up the pole. So it was definitely a sort of reason for me to stay healthy, and it was a good way to motivate myself, to keep on eating and to try to just resolve my issues and to heal. So yeah, pole dancing was actually one of the things that really helped me get out of my eating disorder that I don't really think about that much, but now that I'm talking about it, it really sort of pushed me to stay healthy and to get better. So yeah, I'm really grateful for pole dancing for that.
Well, thank you for sharing this. It takes a lot
Yeah.
of courage, and I know, I'm used to talking about addiction, and no matter what type of addiction it is,
Mhm.
it's always a challenge, and it you have to be determined and you have to work hard. And the way to get out of our addiction is not necessarily the thing. It's like to get out of it. How did
Mhm.
like when did you how did it happen for you to say, okay, done, I'm done with this, I need to get better?
Yeah, I remember when I was sort of in the thick of it. Obviously, everyone was super worried about me. They're trying to just like, I mean, the classic thing that people say is like, just eat.
Mhm.
And it's really not that simple. I feel like what differs with eating disorders as opposed to other addictions is like, say you're addicted to alcohol or drugs, you could really just abstain. But with food, like you're trying to do the opposite of that. You have to not abstain, and food is always going to be in your life. So it's a hard thing to overcome. And people just telling me to get better didn't make me want to get better. And people saying, like, oh, you're losing weight or you look good, you lost weight, like that was something that sort of just like made me want to continue to do it, you know? And if someone said I looked healthy, that was a bad thing. I didn't want to look healthy. And so, like, my parents were trying to make me go seek out help at therapy. And it just wasn't really doing it for me. And I remember the therapist that I saw, she was an eating disorder specialist. I had had a meeting with her, just one, and she told me basically, like, I'm not going to be able to help you because you don't want to help yourself. And I thought it was so harsh at the time. I remember I got a nose piercing after that because I felt super numb. I was like, I need to feel something. And so I got a nose piercing. Um, anyway, that like wasn't very helpful for me. But I think at some point I like was looking at myself in the mirror and I noticed that I was just like disappearing, that I didn't look good anymore. I was way past the point of losing weight to look good. I didn't feel good. I couldn't do anything. Walking was just so much energy. My hair was getting super thin and I was growing hair in places that I wasn't supposed to. I would sit on a chair and my butt would like bruise. Um, and I just realized that like this isn't the life that I wanted for myself. And just like having that realization was for sure a step towards it. But I was telling you about this. I had actually decided to do shrooms with my boyfriend, magic mushrooms. And I had heard a lot about plant medicine in that kind of way. I was trying to find tools to just like help my brain to recover. And even just thinking of it, like eating food was terrifying to me. And so I had taken like 4 grams of shrooms with my boyfriend, and I went in with the mentality. I feel like an important part if you're going to take mushrooms is like to go in with intention, and that's how you can sort of rewire your thought patterns. And so my intention was to just like heal myself and to try to recover and get better. And I remember at some point I was looking at a lava lamp that I had in my room, and I was seeing all of like the shapes in the lava lamp moving, and I was like, "This is my brain." And like it's like rewiring all the time and it's transforming into different things, and like my brain can do that. Like my brain can transform and my thoughts can evolve, and like I am in control of what goes on up there, and I need to sort of like take control again. And a few days later, I like ate Lipton soup for the first time, which is like a big thing for me because there was noodles in it. And
Mhm.
I started just trying to take baby steps to get better, eating like half a cookie or whatever it was, like just like small little goals that that would help me eventually recover. And it was super hard. I feel like it was almost harder to recover than it was to just like live with my eating disorder, because it felt like an inner battle in my brain of like two different voices going back and forth all the time, and it was really hard listening to those voices. But I really think that like going in with intention on those mushrooms was like what kind of propelled me into getting better. So I'm super grateful for that experience for sure.
Wow, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And I've battled addiction as well. And you know how I told that to so many people, I don't know, if you say something, they're like, well, it's not complicated, just don't drink. And you're
Exactly.
like, oh my gosh, you still don't get addiction.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
and yet I'm probably one of the people who understand it the most. But again, anorexia, for me, it's like, well, you need to eat, so just eat. So I totally get what you're saying. And I get also like people around you loving you saying like eat, because you're right. It's a need that we have. Like it's a
Yeah.
basic need. So it's not like a negotiation thing. It's a basic
Yeah.
need. And congratulations for getting out of your addiction. And you
Thank
don't
you.
necessarily need to do mushroom, people, to get out of
Yeah,
it.
no,
But
for sure not.
hey,
For sure
if
not.
it helped you kick off the rewiring. No, I'm joking. I'm
Exactly.
not suggesting to do it, but
And it
everyone.
definitely wasn't, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you.
go
It
ahead.
definitely wasn't the only thing. I had to put in like so much work personally. I had to keep on sort of like forcing myself into uncomfortable situations. And there was a lot of crying, a lot of regret, trying to go back and forth. But for sure, mushrooms wasn't the only thing that did that for me. It was a long period of being uncomfortable and painful situations that I had to overcome and go through in order to get better. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And just to close this, I just want people to understand that it's okay not to understand, because if you see Alyssa, she's gorgeous. And I've seen people with anorexia, and you're thinking like, how can you even think that you have 1 ounce too much?
Mm,
They don't see themselves like we see themselves. And the whole time, Alyssa was loved by her parents, and she had a boyfriend the whole time. So it's not a question of necessarily, and I've said that in another interview, no matter how much people around you love you, it's not compensating for the hate you have for yourself sometimes. Anyway, that
mm,
was my case for the longest time. So you have to learn to love yourself. And whatever way you find to do this, well, it's your own way, just don't fall into another addiction. But I'm so proud of you, because it's strong, and I'm sure that that's where the beauty of your art is coming out so
mm.
much. And I encourage everyone to go see your paintings. there's there's raw emotions when you look at the paintings. There's like, I would want to have you sitting there beside it to tell me the story of each one of them.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to.
Yeah, no, but it's true, because it is, you can feel the emotions in there. And that's probably, for you, that was your form of therapy. It was to write.
For sure.
And because at that point you were writing,
Hmm.
to write, but you definitely got it out of yourself. And that's a big process with addiction, is to get it out of yourself, because you can't keep battling it all inside. So
Hmm.
congratulations for that. Where can people see your art, get your art?
Yeah, so I have an Etsy page. It's just called Alyssa Benchimol. So it's just my full name. And I sell original paintings. I sell prints on canvas rolls. So it just comes in a little roll and then you stretch it out and it's canvas material. So it's super cool. The photos of the prints, they have a sort of canvas texture. And so that on top of the canvas material, really makes it look like it's the original. But I'm going to be branching out into selling more affordable prints on just a matte sort of poster paper so that it could be more accessible to everyone else who might not be able to afford like a $50 print or an $80 print or whatever. So I'm going to be getting on that soon. And then we'll also be on my Etsy. So yeah, if you wanted to check it out, I would love that. You can also always just message me on any social media. And
Yeah. And I will put all of your information, don't worry. But
okay.
so I'm going to ask you what I think we shouldn't ask to any artists. I just know that because talking to singers, like when you ask, what's your
Oh
favorite song?
no.
I love them all. But what's your favorite painting of yours?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so probably my Tree Woman painting. I don't even know if that's what I officially called it on Etsy, but that's what I always call her, Tree Woman. She's a pretty big scale painting. I think she's like 24 by 42 or something like that. So she's pretty big. And it's basically just a tree with roots that go from the base all the way to branches that go out to the top. And the tree has boobs, and there's like eyes on the nipples and just eyes all over the tree. And then there's just random little bugs in the earth coming out of the roots, and there's an owl and moon. And I feel like it's just that painting that like resonates with my whole being. Like I love it so much. I really feel like it feels like me and just like how I want my brain to be, how I want life to feel. It's really just like a woman being grounded in nature, being a force, surrounded by beautiful things, the moon. I love the moon. So,
Why?
yeah, I think that's for sure my favorite painting. Yeah.
Why the moon? What does the moon do for you?
I don't know. I feel like she just gives me energy. Like anytime I see a full moon, I just feel so fulfilled, so happy. I saw this thing once that like if you are fueled by the night, by the moon, you're a sun, and if you're fueled by like daylight, you're a moon or something like that. I don't know, that resonated with me because I feel like I'm a very bubbly person. I love the daylight, and so you need like the moon to balance you out to complement that. Yeah, I love the moon. I have like
Interesting.
4 moon tattoos.
Oh, that's cool. And why the owl?
The owl for sure represents wisdom and knowledge, and I think that sort of tied into tree knowledge and like Mother Earth. I feel like it just really complemented the sort of emotions of just women being a force. Love women.
But see
So
what I say, like if you could stand beside each painting and giving
yeah,
us that story, like there's so much more than just a painting when you look at something. And but I do feel that when we look at her paintings, that's how we do feel that, you know, there's emotion behind it. And I'm so glad that you chose to get all of your, you know, your talents and your emotions out on paper and share it with people. And I hope you'll start singing again one day because you have a beautiful voice, but that you have
thank
to
you.
love it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do love it. I sing pretty much all the time. Like, I don't even really notice it. It's one of those passive things that I do, especially when I'm in a good mood. I'm always just singing whatever song is in my head, singing around the house when I'm doing dishes and things like that. And even when I'm at work, I'm still just like humming along. Um,
Cool.
so yeah, yeah.
Well, cool. Well, Alyssa, it was such a pleasure to have you on, and you can come back whenever you want if you want to talk about any other painting and, you know, or describe one other. Let's go with that before I let you go. Describe
One
me.
other
I want you
painting.
to, I would like you to describe me the one of the man or the boy that has like,
Marsman, yes. I'm actually looking at it right now. It's just above me. So I actually that is inspired by a photo that I saw on Pinterest. It's just of this guy with his like eyes closed, and I really liked the lighting of it. So I started, and this one's in oil, and I'd never painted anything in black and white before, so it was just something that I was experimenting. I wanted to try it out. And so I painted him, and he had all these really bold shadows and things like that. And I just randomly was like, like maybe there should be a planet in the background. It was very like it was a very random sort of thought that I just followed through on, and I just sort of went along with this space idea of him just being in Mars and the blindfold. I guess I'm not sure. I can't even remember if the blindfold was in the original painting because it feels so like, or in the photo that I saw. But I thought it could be textured. I thought that was really cool because it was a way to kind of bring him back to Earth while there's this like space concept going on behind him. So yeah, I really love that painting as well, to be honest. um, yeah, and it's cool because it represents the first sort of like black and white painting that I did, and I was also first starting to dabble into oil paint when I did this painting. So that's what that represents for me also. And
so that painting is for sale, but not really for sale, just to sell if.
yeah, I'm not sure what I have that painting priced at right now. I think it's something like 1500 or something like that. But I also just sell prints, which look really great as well. So those you can buy as many as you want, unlimited prints of
No,
that
but I
painting.
was kind of joking as it is for sale, but you don't really want to sell it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's one of those paintings that I kind of never want to let go of. That one and the tree woman as well. I kind of don't really want anyone to buy. I just like having it in my space.
And yeah, I saw the tree woman in person, and I loved it.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
yes. So yes, so it was a pleasure having you, and you can come back
Thank
whenever you
you.
want. If you would want to leave people with one thing, Alyssa, what would it be? With like, what would it be? Sorry, I'm just tripping in my words right now.
No, no. That's a hard question. Um, I feel like something that is important to me is that you don't have to follow a traditional kind of path in life. I feel like there are infinite amount of things that you can do in life, and life is so much longer than we think. And I feel like if you're following a path that you feel like you're doing just because you have to, because other people are doing it, you're never going to find happiness. You have to just follow your heart, do what makes you happy, no matter what it is, and success will follow. So yeah, I think that's it.
That's awesome. You have an old soul,
Oh,
and
thank you.
I wish you all the best.
You
People
as
go
well.
see art on Etsy, get a piece, promote it. She's amazing, and you will see that I'm not joking when I say her art is beautiful. And Alyssa, thank you so much for being here today, and to everyone else. Well, I'll see you next week. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for having me. Bye.
Bye.